Welcome, sports fans, CAV fans, whatever you want to be, fans.
CAV fans.
So we are on here tonight for a little rundown on CAV-CON 22, but we are having some technical problems. So I have James on the phone for sound. So we're going to test this and see if you can hear him. James, you want to give us a countdown or something, see if people can hear you?
Sure. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Hello, Ilmarin. Hello, Gimli. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's going to be delayed from because you're two different feeds. It is what it is. So be glad you got that.
And, or maybe sad.
Yeah. So we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to show up, and then I'm going to ask you some questions tonight, James.
I'm going to pretend like I have answers.
Well, I know you're a very, very smart man, so I think you'll be okay.
Okay. Do it. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Gimli.
This is what happens when you wait till 30 minutes before the feed to try to remember how you used to do something. So we'll get it worked out. I'll get it figured out. Because we'll have James back again. He knows he wants to come back.
I mean, I don't mind. I just, it's complicated and you have to take a break.
No, I hear you. So how is everybody else doing tonight?
Yes, that rough poetry. You have no idea. I've literally been thinking about that this week.
Oh my God.
I'm going to paint models.
Great.
John said I get to make a model because of my achievement. So maybe I'll make a poet mech or CAV or something.
It's more of just because I really like you as opposed to your achievement. Yeah. So
that and $2.
That and $2.
Yep.
Get you a fourth of a cup of Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, you might get to talk to the barista for that.
Just a little bit. Gets you up to the counter anyway. I read an interesting story. Somebody was mad because they ordered McDonald's and was only going to tip $1.50 on Grubhub and can't understand why nobody would bring them their order.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? So if you want to tip $1 and I want to tip whatever the normal amount is, I bet you get my order delivered.
Yeah, I'll bet you do too. I wouldn't expect somebody to bring me my order for $1.50. Yeah. All right. Well, we're just about ready to roll here.
Yeah, just a general reminder while we're waiting for everybody to show up, there's still time to get your entry in to the 2022 virtual CAV-CON painting competition. There's money on the line. There are gift certificates and everything. You've got till September 30th to get your submissions. Go to Talent Games Forum. You can find a link, or you can just hunt it down yourself. I'm sure you're all very capable with that. Post your pictures. Come and collect your rewards.
That's like 23 days away. Even I could get a miniature painted in 23 days.
Okay. No, John, I'd 100% be open to doing this again in the future. We just, work out the details.
Right. Hold on just a second. I want to see if I can switch something on my phone. Because I bet you anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my phone was running off the wireless, and the computer is running off the same internet, so I think they might have been stealing signal from each other. see if that's a little better. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. Needless to say, we had CAV-CON last week as part of ReaperCon. This was our first year back officially live after our 2-year hiatus. We did a virtual show, but there was only 3 or 4 of us for that. I think we had pretty good attendance for coming back after 2 years. We were a little light in the painting contest, the physical one, but the ones that were entered were really great looking. We had our booth, everything set up. I think you probably saw some pictures on Facebook. So everybody hopefully got to see that. We ran games and demos and the paint and take. Everything pretty much stayed full from morning until night. We were very busy at the booth. Lots of new players buying into books. We actually sold out of books by Sunday morning. So I had to, that was super awesome. I had a few players that they went ahead and bought the book, and I took their name and address, and so we mailed out books on Tuesday for the people that still wanted to get them. I just told them we'd put it on our dime and ship them out. We were sorry we didn't have them. So that went really well. We did have the new release there, which was the large scale Starhawk 7. New miniatures. We had the Starhawk 7, the Hound, which is a APC electronic vehicle for the Amethyl. And the Armada finally has made its appearance, which I think is one of the neatest tanks we've ever done, if I do say so myself. What did you think of the attendance, James? What did you think of the show overall?
I remember it favorably compared to 2019, which is the last time I was there. It was a lot busier. I mean, I didn't count them, but I want to say I ran at least 20 or 25 people through demos. And some of them were more than just demos. Some of them were like little mini games, to be quite frank with you. Interest seemed to be high. I mean, there were some people from Tulsa there that bought in, people from Kansas City I know bought in, some of them extensively. I was happy with it. I was impressed. I know that setup you have there, where there's the line of your CAV tables that lead to the vendor room, is an excellent way to gather attention, especially that desert board with the pyramid. People that you know for a fact are never going to play CAV stopped and took pictures and oohed and awed and just all kinds of things. It was the focal point of that area, just as you came into the vendors area. Definitely caught attention.
Yes, there was lots of people taking pictures that you could tell have no desire whatsoever to play any kind of net game.
Yes. But, mostly because they were dressed like ballerinas.
And I'm not trying to ring my bell, but I think it was the best looking board at the show, period, for anything that was going on there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so 100%. There wasn't as many miniature events this year as there were in 2019, because I know that there was 2 or 3 people that I know that was there in 2019 that was there setting up boards that weren't there this year. I think when all the smoke cleared, attendance for 2019 was like 2,200. Reaper actually Saturday ran out of badges. So,
really?
Yeah, they had 1,200 badges for visitors. So I haven't got an official number yet. I'm going to put it around 1,500 to 1,600.
It's pretty good.
It's total numbers. So
pretty good.
Yeah. Now that is, especially Saturday, that's a lot of one-day people, that are just there for the day. but I know sales-wise, it was the second best show of the year for us. The only show that we did better sales-wise was Adepticon,
Right.
and there was, like you said, we sold a lot of books, we sold a lot of starter sets, we sold a lot of big Starhawks, we sold some Badger drop ships. I mean, we just sold a bunch of everything. We did have a lot of new people that came by and talked from different areas. I promised Dan that I would give him a shout out. He was messaging me today, and unfortunately couldn't make it to the stream tonight. So, Dan from Kansas City.
Oh yeah,
peace
that guy,
out, man.
Yeah, seriously. He got into it really heavy.
Yes, he did.
So
yeah,
I ended up giving him a demo, and you could just tell from. I mean, he was like, for having never played the game, he would tell me what the rules were just right before I explained them.
yeah,
So he predicted how indirect fire worked, and just almost nailed everything. So that guy's a vet. I don't know what he's played before, but he knows what he's doing. And man, he bought a lot of cabs.
yes, yeah. If you all the posts that you saw for the last 3 days that start off from somebody named Dan.
Yeah, that's our guy.
That is the Kansas City Dan. He got into it. Got a couple of his buddies too. So that was good. So I'm looking forward to go up there and play some games with them. They're only about a little under 2 hours for me to get to them. So I told them as soon as they were ready, we'd come up there for a game. Let's see. What else was I right off the top of my head? All right, so let's go into Big Saturday, the big tournament. We started everything off at 9 o'clock in the morning. We got everybody paired up and got things kicked off. This year, we allowed everybody to bring 4,500 points. They had to have a minimum of 2 squads, up to 15 models. We did make them all play CAVs this year. I knew after a year hiatus that we'd probably have some new players show up, and the easier that I could make everything, the better that we could. So, so James, tell us a little bit about your thought process on your force.
Well, initially I didn't think I was going to be able to go to CAV-CON / ReaperCon, just life events, and like about a month ahead of time, things cleared up, and John helped me get into a room, and so it was kind of a hurly-burly, what can we do really quick. And last summer I had painted up, I'd run a slow grow league here in Tulsa, and I painted up a force for that. So I thought to myself, what could I do to make that tournament worthy? I sat down and tinkered with it, added a bunch of EST and ECM, and ended up with an attack squad, a specialist squad, a fire support squad, and a recon squad that turned out were just good enough for me to be successful.
Yeah, speaking of the ECM side of things, there were a lot of ECM units.
There were.
So a lot of ECM, a lot of APA flying around. Do you think that with everything that was canceling out and everything, do you think everybody might have taken more units than they really needed, thinking that they needed them, or maybe it just didn't have the grasp of the way that the rules worked, maybe?
So so here's the problem that I ran into. I ended up with an enormous amount of ECM2 in my list because I wanted the EST so I could share the target locks. And of course, you need a few ECMs to win the electronic warfare battle. But the Spartan is the only in-print model that I have that comes with, that's readily available. It comes with EST. And so when I wanted EST, I was also picking up ECM. So yeah, I had 5 Spartans in my list, plus a couple of Rapiers, which also do ECM 1. And so, I mean, I didn't mind. I knew what I was getting, but I mean, I didn't set out to bring that much ECM2. I just happened to get it when I got the thing I wanted. And so you're right. I had too much, although to be honest with you, it was probably just enough against Ross. I was able to control the ECM war in every game I played.
Right. Well, and that's we're the side of it. I mean, the game with Ross, because he had so many units as well with it, in that place it works out better. Because at the end of the day, only one is actually working. I mean, if everybody is, when there's a lot on both sides, it helps, kind of outlast somebody. If you've got one more than he does, and he's, depending on how the initiative lays out, that has a big part in it too, as to who at the end of the turn has ECM still going. So, but
plus the extra ECM let me create a bigger footprint of ECM. Like one guy has to be really close to the center of the table to be able to go across the board. But I was able to create 2 or 3 bubbles usually, and just really blanket the battlefield with my ECM.
Yeah, and that helps a lot too. And that's that if you just have a single one, sometimes if you're trying to use it, that controls his movement, and can get him into a bad spot. So having the more did. So what you of course you drew Ross first round. So that's like taking the Band-Aid off, just rip it off and go. For everybody that may not know this, but Ross has won all 2 out of the 3 tournaments.
So
beforehand.
Todd won the very first one that I showed up for, which was 2018, I think. And then Ross, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I can't keep it straight in my head. The one we played the tournament over in Reaper's old building.
Right.
So whichever one that was, Todd won that one, and then Ross won the one in 2019. But I'm not sure if there was one in the middle there that I've lost track of.
Yeah, because I think we've had two tournaments at the new location, and this would have been number 3.
Yeah. Okay. So, then probably Ross won that other one too.
Yeah, because the very first one was they were still over there at the mall. So and then we had the tournament at the Reaper warehouse.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so Ross has won the last 2 tournaments, and rather handedly. So
he's a good player.
He is, and he was the man to beat. So, kind of tell us how the first game went.
So, this is my personal philosophy about how lists work, right? And those of you who have talked to before will probably recognize this. Your list should really ask a question. Even if you don't intend it to, it's asking a question. It's like, here's how I'm going to win the game. Can you handle it? And so to me, Ross's list asks the question, can you manage Ross's attack squad? It had a couple, I'm not 100% sure if they were fullbacks or rhinos, but the rhino chassis, just a beast of a CAV. I think there's I can't think of the name of the.
I think they were fullbacks.
Yeah, because I think he was playing Almirathal, I think. Yeah. So nonetheless, he had these really big, beefy, Mac-wielding, reinforced, high armor models. And my attack squad could not. I played a very wide list. I played 15 models wide, maximum size. And my attack squad, the highest strength weapon in my entire list was strength 5. Yeah. And so I could not fight his attack squad. No way, shape, or form was I going to win any combat where we became entangled directly. Right. Fortunately, we ended up playing on a table that had a pile of terrain in the center that was line of sight blocking. And so what it did is it created a shadow into which indirect fire couldn't go. And so what I did, once I saw that, I said, I'm just going to NASCAR. I'm going to go left around this mountain, and he's not fast enough to catch my tail. And so then I'm just going to eat whatever he puts in front of me and stay away from his attack squad. So literally what happened, the reason I was able to win that is because all of my army fought 2/3 or half of his army. Right. And I'm going to win that unless the dice go insane. And he just, there was never any good opportunity for him to bring that beastly attack squad of his to bear onto much of anything of mine. And so I naturally win that battle. Anybody would win that battle given that circumstance.
Right. Well, it looked to me too like because of your speed, he had to, I think, go out of his comfort zone with some of his faster guys trying to catch up with you.
Yep.
And so he ran out under his guns because the big guys seemed like they stayed way back for a lot along in the fight. And like I said, really never got into it. So
no, they did not.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I won. I was able to fight a portion of his squad. I was also, the way the table was set up, so in CAV tournaments, there's a center objective that's worth a nice chunk of points at the end of the at the end of the game, and I was able to get up and score that ahead of Ross. And then as he pushed in to try and take it, the angles worked out so that I could attack his units that were trying to contest it. And it was just the terrain won me that battle.
Right.
100%. Ross actually had a really clever observation about my force. He called my force a fencing force, because really what I had was, I think in my whole force I had 11 light and medium max, and so I'm just looking to shoot you and get lucky with some of the critical hit rolls and punch harder than I really should be able to. And I was able to do that against his recon
stuff. You're selling
stuff.
yourself short, because the terrain didn't win you that battle. You won that battle because you knew how to use the terrain.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But if it's not there, I can't win that battle. If that was an open table.
But it could be there, and somebody that doesn't know how to work it and just runs around it,
Okay.
you know. So I thought that part of it was, like I said, don't sell yourself short, because you did.
Yeah.
Now, for everybody that may not be aware of the way the tournament plays in CAV, is you are rewarded for killing the other side, but it is not the end all. You can wipe. I don't think that you would lose the match, but you could wipe out the other force, and at the end of the match, point-wise, be somewhat close, depending on how one side may have used objectives to get points. And your points from all three games add together to give you your final score. So one of the things that James was talking about is there is an objective in the center of the board. And it's got a 3-inch radius around it. And if you're able to get any model in that radius with none of the enemy models, each turn that you do that, you get a point. At the end of the match, the side that has the most points gets awarded the objective, which is 5 points. I think total score that you can get in a match is somewhere around 20, 21, 22, if you score in everything. So, 5 points, that's a fourth of the score.
Big chunk.
So when somebody does that, you have two choices. Is either you have to keep other models inside that radius as well. At that point, nobody gets any points because it's considered contested. Or you have to drive them out of there and at least equal the points, because you can actually, if both of you end up the end of the match with the same number of points, you get 3 points each. So it kind of splits the score. So there is a way for both of you to score in that particular match. The maximum points you can get for wiping a force is 10 points. You get 5 points for doing the most damage, and then 5 points based on the damage that you did. If you killed all 4,500 points. So it's very rare for a game to go to a wipe. We did have one, I think, in all the matches. That generally is a result of 2 or 3 things that I won't go into.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So at the end of the round, after the first round, we score everybody out, and then we split everybody up so that number 1 scorer plays number 2 scorer, number 3 scorer plays number 4 scorer, and it goes all the way down so that the 2 bottom people are playing each other. And what that does is you always have a winner losing. So in round 2, generally your number 1 and your number 2 person won their first round. Second round, one of those 2 are going to lose. Same thing on the bottom end of the pile. You had 2 people losing, And so at that point, the second round will come out at 2. We ended up with a total of 5 people. There were actually 3 more that showed up an hour late, thinking that it started at 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. So we would have had a full 8, but you know, it is what it is. So second match, you drew.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you play second round?
Chandler.
Okay.
Mog.
And how did that game go? What happened there?
So that was on a completely different kind of map. So that was on an urban map.
Right.
Lots of buildings, lots of roads with basically kill zones down them. Very lots of places calves couldn't walk. And so when I saw that, I thought to myself, this is where my fire support squad is going to get a chance to shine, because he's going to have to the train's going to bottle him up at some point. And when he does, if I can get my strike points in there and get them to land, then I'll, it's just a huge force multiplier to be able to have one rocket hit 2, 3, 4, 5, however many people. And so I was looking for an opportunity to do that. I was like, I'm going to push these guys forward and make them targets, so that when that opportunity happens, I'm in the best spot for it. And it did happen. Chandler, I thought he played really well. We fought hard over the center objective. I was able to score it on the first round, and then after that, I think the entire rest of the game, he contested it. And he had a very nasty, in-your-face particle bolt gun sort of list that, to be quite frank with you, took me by surprise. There's a unit in there, Frogfoot, I think. I feel like it had the name Frog in it.
Yeah, there was some Frogfoots playing.
That come with medium particle bolt guns, which are strength 6. And I didn't realize that they were mediums. I was thinking they were lights. Anyway, long story short, once he got pushed up into my force, those were brutal calves. By the way, this is probably just Chandler's style. Every time he rolled a particle bolt gun, he overdrove it. Every roll. Didn't matter if it was a 9 or a 6. He overdrove everything. Yeah. And it paid off a couple of times. He was able to get a few extra hits in there. But this is just it was a little bit more of a grind fest. But I was able to. There was one round where he bunched up in an intersection trying to get all his models into my side of the board because he wanted to close, and I was able to step out with my fire support squad. And the fact that I controlled the ECM war here as well means I was the one who was getting target locks, not him. And I had APA running, not him. And so, the bell curve, right? That shifts me to the favorable side of it. And so I'm shooting. And in that round, I managed to land all 3 of my strike points where I wanted them. And so I killed his commander with those series of shots. And I put heavy damage on his, again, this is the Tiger variant. Is it the Tiger variant that's the fullback? Maybe it is. I'm not sure. There are a couple of Tigers I put a bunch of damage on. I put some damage on some Frogfoots. It was just, I got huge force multiplication out of that fire support squad for that one turn. And I think between that and the fact I was on the favorable side of the bell curve with my control of the ECM, that allowed me to just grind him down.
Right.
And by the time his PPGs got into me, the game was probably decided, and I had degraded them so they weren't quite as vicious. Still nasty, though.
Yeah.
Very nasty.
So did he have a lot of overheats by doing all that, or?
He did not. He got super lucky. He had 1 overheat and no burnouts. Okay. So he just was hammering me with those particle bolt guns.
And you had more kills in the second round, right, than you did the first
round?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100. I killed a ton of his stuff because he pushed it all up in the front.
Yeah.
It was a bloody battle. Literally, at one point in time, there was a block of about 6x8 map board that probably had 11 calves in it. It was just a giant. It was just a giant,
a big dance,
bloody fight. Yes, everybody. There's so many more back attacks or back shots, whatever you want to call those, than I've ever seen in one game, because we were just all swirling around each other. Right? It was massive.
So, do you think everybody did a pretty good job in the games as far as moving? Do you think the stationary modifier is pushing people to move a little better, or?
I mean, the only people that I saw risk it were people that were out of harm's way. So, like, sort of a fire support squad that was lingering at the back that literally had nobody that was going to engage them.
Right.
They might suffer stationary to target lock and get a shot, but for the most part, no, people are moving.
Good.
Nobody wants to have +2 to hit.
Yeah.
Unless it's a critical, unless something super important is happening, like maybe you're going after somebody's command or something like that,
Right.
you might suffer to stand still.
Yeah, I mean it's a trade-off. I mean you have to make that decision if it's worth the deal. Now in the rules update,
Mm-hmm.
that will be offset a little bit because you get a +1 bonus to shoot if you decide to remain stationary. So you're giving
okay.
You're giving up the 2 to him to get the 1 for you. So that changes the risk and reward a little bit. Because I think, and that's fine if you guys are doing, because as it was right now, I think stationary is just +1. And then and then on the sheet it is. And then the rules update pushes it up to 2, but you get the trade-off by getting the +1 to your shot.
Okay, so, I probably just misquoted the number.
And that's fine. I mean, everybody plays the same, it all works out the same. All right, so you came out of the second round looking pretty good. You had two good, decent score points under your bat. I think you came out after 2 rounds around 34 points, I think is where you were. So out of 42, 43 possible, you were looking pretty good. So round 3, you drew
Brandon.
Yes.
Yeah. Brandon is he's. I mean, I could go on for a long time about Brandon. Every tournament I've ever played, every CAV tournament I've ever played in, I played Brandon, and it's kind of interesting because Brandon's a young man. When I first played him, he was 14, and I'm not sure how old he is now, but he's clearly an adult now, and so it's just kind of interesting to see him change.
Well, I think he's 18.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
He's off on his first year of school, so.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's come a long way.
He has. It's amazing. In 2019, I won't dwell on this too long, but in 2019, I played my favorite game of CAV of all time against Brandon. It was a tremendous battle. One day when we were together at a con, I'll talk your ear off about it. It was awesome. But that's not what this is about. This is about the 22 CAV-CON battle against Brandon. And so Brandon,
we can talk anytime.
a little reminiscing.
Yeah.
Brandon's force asked very much the same question that Ross's force asked. It said, "I have got a really nasty attack squad, probably as nasty or nastier than Ross's. And the question is, can you deal with it?" The table we played on had a similar piece of terrain in the middle, not identical, but it also created a shadow. There was a tall piece of terrain in the middle, pretty good size, that blocked line of sight. But you could get on top of this one, but you could not get on top of the other one.
Right. This one was kind of the big plateau.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And the other big difference, and this is a huge difference, was that Brandon's attack force was much faster than Ross's. Much, much faster than Ross's. In fact, I believe the white variant that he was playing, I'm not sure of its letter designation. I'm pretty sure it can double time, which means it has a move of 10.
Yeah. And
so, it's the exact same problem that Ross posed me, and I had almost on identical solutions. Like, I've got a NASCAR away from this vicious attack squad, but this is a much tougher battle because I couldn't outrun his attack squad. The positioning allowed me to stay away from them for the first 2 or 3 rounds of the game, but they were so fast they were starting to catch the tail of my force.
Right.
And so I just kept chewing the things in front of me, hoping to score out enough points that when time was called, I'd be ahead and able to control or to win based on points. In this particular scenario, I couldn't really contest the center piece. And the reason is, to contest it from my side of the board, you pretty much had to go on top of the plateau, and there was no cover. So that meant his attack force could see you, and they would that you're the person they would shoot at.
Right.
And so I just gave those points up early because I knew I couldn't afford to try and win them. because he was just going to eat everything that I put up there.
Right.
And so instead, I just concentrated all that on catching his tail and trying to eat as much of it to score the points to hopefully grind out a point-based victory.
Right. Now, yeah,
I managed to get his commander.
I was just gonna say, out of the games that scored, because you guys went into the start of third round 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
You won and
Right.
him too. But at the end of the game, you guys were pretty close on points, total points. I think you ended up with 14, 14 or 15, and he ended up with like 11 or 12. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, you came out of the end of that by doing more damage, you know, and countering some of the other things that he did. But yeah, him getting the objective points pushed him up in there. So, so you came through the third round. Like I said, third one was kind of in the middle of the road kind of deal. Ross started the third round in the third place. And he, during the third round, got the total wipe.
Yeah.
He played and killed the entire force. So the third game, point-wise, came out as his best game of the day. Because I think first round he only scored like 8 points. I mean,
it was single digit. Yeah,
that he was coming up. So it was close, very, very close by a hair. But at the end of the day, you stood triumphant.
Yes.
So you won the Gold Dictator and did a dance and
a little happy dance.
Stuck
I sure did.
In Ross's face and told him
I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. That's not really my style. I mean, there was certainly some of that. So the very first tournament CAV game I ever played, I played against Ross, and he destroyed me in ways that are just epic. It's amazing. It's just like everything played to his advantage, and it just, the rules probably needed a little tweaking at that point, and he found that tweak. He found that wrinkle before the tweak and took advantage of it. And, you know, I mean, I'm just a guy showing up, like, hunting down Templar models. I literally hunted down from the most obscure online stores in the internet these all metal Templar force, because there just wasn't a lot of models available at the time.
Right.
And I put it on the table, and it was not. It was just a bunch of targets, is what it was. But I had a great time, and Ross became my friend and my mentor. I mean, after the drubbing he gave me, he was very kind and generous. And since then, Ross and I have formed a really strong friendship. And like I said, a lot of my progress as a CAV player is due to not only playing him, but also, you know, listening to him and thinking about the sort of ways that he approaches problems, and then applying my own strategy to that.
Well, and I mean, losing was a little offset because he did win the tournament painting contest,
yes,
which you came in second to that, and then he won the 2 of the categories in the main Reaper in their Master Series paint competition. So, so he had, you know, he got a little bandage here and there, a little salve for the wounds.
Ross is a fantastic artist, and when I say artist, I mean it in the traditional sense of the word. He can paint, he can draw outside of the context of painting miniatures. I mean, on canvas, on paper, he is literally an artist, and you know, it's almost unfair. So I'm just a hobbyist.
Right. So this brings up one of my point of contentions with James. So, and I beat him over the head with this 2 or 3 times. Ross is a great painter. James is a great painter. Now, James doesn't want to try to admit that he's a great painter, but he is. He does an extremely, extremely beautiful job of painting. Literally, the only thing that Ross beat him in the tournament contest was Ross had just a little bit better blending. That was the only thing that, I mean, literally, you guys were like separated by 2 points. Again, so in the tournament, in the painting competition, there is a sheet that anybody can judge from. I mean, you could have anybody come and judge this painting contest because it asks 3 very specific questions. And you can look at the figures and you score one at a time, and it asks you a question. Did he do this? If he did that, you check that. Did he do this? You check that. And at the end of that, it gives you a score. So it takes away the bias that somebody might have. Obviously, if somebody's trying to fix it or whatever, there's nothing we can do about that. But it's a very regulated set of rules to go through this. And that way, the not so great painters still get rewarded, but the great painters get rewarded more at the final day of the score. So, literally, you got beat by 1 or 2 points. Because again, there's a very specific question that gets asked in the blending section in that particular area. And that was the difference. So you are a great painter. Do not sell yourself short. Please, you are. So,
thank you, John. It makes me feel good, but
okay. Let me rub your belly.
We may have to agree to disagree.
All right. I think that more people will agree with me than you, but it is. So we were thinking about putting a shirt out that said "I beat Ross" in big letters. So
that's your idea.
I'm going to have to do a shirt for you about something about painting. James paints good or something like that. We'll see. We'll figure it out. All right. So overall, what'd you think of the tournament? Yes, no, sucks. I wish you would do something different. What?
Honestly, John, I think it ran smoothly. I can't really think of anything other than the scoring rubric at the end where we have to break down the points based on the damage part, especially, that could use a little polishing. But you and I have talked about that, and I think you've got a solution in mind of some kind. Just communication, maybe. Obviously, those 3 fellows. I really wish we could have had those other 3 guys show up on time.
Agreed.
Maybe find a way, and not that this is on you. Clearly you told them when the tournament started. It's printed when the tournament started. But just find a way to communicate it a little bit, or maybe a big sign that says, "Hey, tournament starts at 9 a.m." or something. But other than that, I thought it went well. I can't think of any one particular thing that I can improve. It's pretty sweet.
Well, and anybody can download this tournament. Literally, I'll be going through it here and tweaking a little bit now because we were not going to the rules update yet. So we were playing with the rules as they were currently with the route and everything. So the rules update is coming out this month. All right. Take it to the bank. It is coming out. All right. I've got to update a couple of things, including the tournament rules, to take into account a couple of little things that will affect it. It's literally set up. If you have 4 people at a game store and want to run a tournament, then you can play a tournament because you play a different person every time. So if you have 4 people, everybody's playing a different person every round. So, and it works for 4 up to 64 people if you have enough maps. So that's something if that's something you want to do in your area or whatever, you can download it. Let us know that you're going to have it. We'll help with prizes. We'll help with support. Even if there's just 4 of you, we will do something for that. And I hope in the future for the tournament to become kind of in a league kind of thing too, so that people can play in multiple tournaments. As far as maybe some of the players that travel to some of the conventions will be able to play in some of the bigger ones, but some of the smaller conventions and stores in the area can have part of that too and participate. So I look forward to more of that going on. What else? Overall, we kind of talked about the show already. You said you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
The food was good. We ate well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That restaurant in the hotel is surprisingly good.
Yeah, Houlihan.
It's not overpriced, and the food's solid. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah. I think I gained like 6 pounds.
Yeah, I managed to lose a pound. I don't know how. I must have I must have had something in my pocket when I weighed before I went down.
I don't know how I did it. I mean, we ate breakfast and I skipped lunch every day. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like you should not gain.
I guess.
When will you know what the rules for the next year's CAV-CON tournament will be? I mean, this year you adjusted the points. You've spread out
there's a question. Okay, so each year, so the original tournament format was set up for 5,000 points.
Mm-hmm.
The very first time we played 5,000 points, I've adjusted it. I don't know that I've ever gone up, but I think we did 4,800 one year, and I don't know what the different numbers. Maybe we've done 5,000 twice. I don't know. So, do you think that we should pick a point value, say 5,000 points, and just stay with it going forward? Or do you think changing it up a little bit every once in a while? Because it certainly changed up the forces this year.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. There was nearly not the heavies that we've had in the past. So maybe 5,000 points is too much. But should we pick 1 point and stay with it or not?
So I'm going to answer that by saying it doesn't really matter to me,
right,
as long as we can find out, like now, like as soon as possible, what next year's tournament's rules are going to be. That way I can spend this year thinking and tinkering and exploring, and then once I've decided on what my force is, if I need to convert or paint a whole brand new force, I've got plenty of time. The last thing I want to do is get till 4 or 5 months out and find out, okay, the changes, like no tanks, for instance, right? Or all tanks, or just whatever. I would like to know the rules as far ahead of time as possible, so I can spend part of my free time thinking about my list and tinkering with models, and how am I going to convert for this model that doesn't have an actual physical presence yet, that sort of stuff. That's what I would like. I thought the points were good. I'm okay playing only CAVs, especially in the big CAV tournament, because I want the spectators to see that, hey, this is a game about CAVs.
Right.
But part of me, loves tanks, mostly the parts between the bottom of my feet and the top of my head. And and so I would like to see some tanks. I would just love the opportunity to play an all tank force, just because it's goofy and people would go, huh? What? Right. Just I like the variety. So I say keep it flexible, but announce it as early as possible.
Well, maybe we do it on a yearly basis and use CAV-CON as the switchover. So at the end of CAV-CON every year, we announce going forward what the format's going to be for the next year.
That sounds perfect to me.
Yeah. And
that's exactly what I need.
So, and I'm also kind of leaning towards, so we made everybody have at least 2 squads. I'm kind of leaning towards getting away from the squad requirement. So, if points allow you to take 4 emperors and you want to take 4 emperors, go for it. What do you think about that? Or do you think we should make you have multiple squads?
No, I feel like you should let people play the game, and if they want to bring the 4 emperor list, let them bring the 4 emperor list. Because A, you're asking a question. B, you're also saying I am never going to score a bunch of these objective points, because the people that have faster models are just going to be everywhere and score all those extra points. Let the people be creative. I mean, if you can find a way to win the tournament, or even just do well in the tournament with a 4 emperor list, my hat would be off to you like no one's business, because I would honestly expect that list to come in last, or pretty close to last, because
that would be
it can't score.
Right. Because you probably will do a lot of damage, and you take a lot of damage, but because damage only counts for half the score, you're going to lose out on a lot of objectives scoring-wise.
Right.
Initiative is really, really going to stick you in
terrible.
Big time. So, I don't think it would be a fun force to fight, but I don't think that it is a legitimate force that would win the tournament unless they got three people that they played that didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, because I mean, you're only going to have like your card and the bonus card in the initiative deck, probably, right?
Right.
So, one recon unit sends your first card to the bottom.
Right. So
that other card.
Speaking of cards, before we run out of time, I wanted to talk. So one thing that we did instigate in this year's tournament is so we have the new expanded initiative deck coming out. So what that does is it gives you one base card for your whole entire force. So each person gets one card. Then you get one more card for each of the squads that you have in your force. So if you had 3 squads, you have 4 cards. If you have 2 squads, you have 3 cards. Okay. So we did use that. Now we didn't play with the tactical cards and the event cards or whatnot, but we put the extra cards in there. So there were more cards to shuffle, and it also kind of counters a little bit of recon cards, losing squads. What did you think about that with playing with the extra cards?
So I liked it, but I don't think everybody. First of all, I'm not sure everybody read the First Strike tournament packet as thoroughly as they should have, including me, because a lot of people were confused by the fact there were cards left over once we'd all activated. But it made sense, and I explained it to them to the best of my ability, and I liked it because even when you were down squads, right? It wasn't as crippling as it can be. Like, so it's like if you're a 3-squad force and you lose a squad and go down to 2, the other guy's still at 4. He's got twice as many cards in the deck as you, and it just mitigates that a little bit.
Well, one of the things I think that helps a lot, especially so let's say you're playing a 3-squad force versus a 2-squad force. You're shuffling up 5 cards.
Yeah, it's not many cards.
It wouldn't be that unusual that the 3-squad guy could literally go the first 3 squads.
Yep.
The 3 deals. Yeah. I mean, you're shuffling 5 cards. So now, you've got 10 cards in there, whatever that works out to be. Well, it'd be 2, 3, 4, 7 cards instead of 5 cards. So it makes that a little more difficult to do and get necessarily 3 cards in a row, I think. There's always that's the reason why people win lotteries. It can still happen, but I think that it's countered down a little bit. So I liked it. People did have a hard time understanding why there were extra cards left over. Because, you just draw cards until everybody's moved. And once everybody's moved, you shuffle the deck and go again. And whatever's left is left. Once the expanded deck shows up, I think people will see why it'll make more sense as to that. So anyway, any last thoughts you want to throw in about?
I just want to share my. So part of the First Strike tournament rules are that John wants to encourage people to move. So at the end of the second turn, if you're still within 12 inches of your board edge, you get struck by an orbital bombardment 3 times strength 10, I think,
hammer
right?
Strike. Yeah,
hammer strike, right? So I had read that, and I thought I was safe. Then we checked the range, and one of my guys was probably within 12 inches, so he got hammer struck in my first game and ended up taking 2 or 3 points of damage that he didn't. He probably didn't have to have, which were free points for Ross. And if I'd been a little more cognizant of my deployment and my movement, because I had moved away from the board edge, but I'd moved at an angle, and that angle had kept me, didn't quite get me out of the danger zone. So I think in the whole tournament, I was probably the only one that got hammer struck.
And that did bring up something during the second round that we'll have to adjust a little bit, because literally the other side got into this was in a different game, but they ended up he had to turn around and go back into his deployment zone to fight the guys that had got in there and were shooting from behind him. So by the spirit of the rules, he should start getting hammer strikes. We did not do that and so we're going to adjust for that. So
Yeah.
obviously there's an if that we really didn't expect, all of a sudden the fighting to go back being 6 inches from the edge of the opposite board. So the only other
rules,
thing
they need polishing.
Yes, always a little polishing. So one of the things I do want to bring up before we're done for tonight is there is a new release coming out. I don't know that I'll finish getting it out tonight. My intention was today to do it. I've got pictures taken. I've still got to go in and do a couple of things, and I'm running out of steam. It's 9 o'clock. I don't know if I've got another hour in me tonight. It's just been a crazy 2 days coming back from the con, and basically I'd intended on taking yesterday off to kind of recover. That did not happen, of course, because there's a bunch of stuff I had to deal with. So it will be either later tonight or by noon tomorrow. So, we'll have the Hounds, the Armadas, the Starhawk 7, both the big one and the little ones available. So kind of keep your deal on it. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, so we're going to start doing a monthly freebie. It's still kind of in the training, but basically, each month, if you purchase a certain amount of product, you will get something free, okay? I think we're going to kind of lean towards terrain as being the freebie. And, this will be, at least this version of it will be the only way you'll be able to get it is by purchasing product. And it'll be something that you can purchase more of. So, if it's X number of dollars, if you do that 3 times, and you'll get 3 of them, okay? So for this month, and this was, I was trying to have this ready before CAV-CON so I could have something to give away at CAV-CON, but it didn't work out. So for this month, we have a mech bay.
Okay.
So for every $25 that you purchase in product, I guess I can come in the middle, you will get a mech bay. And it is MDF, so there's a little bit of glue in and assembly there. It has a little platform in the bottom, so if you want to leave it loose so you can turn it or whatever, you can. It also comes with multiple letters so that you can do, this one is Bay A, but you can do other bays if you want to. And how they're set up, and I'll have better pictures tomorrow. I was going to get one painted and everything. So the cool thing about these is now you can set these out on your battlefield or on your city map or whatever. You can slide them inside of a building if you have something that you want to slide it into or whatever. I'm not saying that there will be a building down the road that these will fit into, but it is what it is. But one of the things that you can do with these is they can go together. So if you want a bigger mech bay with 2 bays, you can do that. And with the multiple letters, so we have Bay A and Bay B here, Bay B. And you can keep going side to side, or you can come back with C and D and put them on the back. Now you have a 4 mech bay deal. So to get 4 of them, you only have to spend $100, right? There you go. There's your wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So these will be available when everything goes live tomorrow or tonight. They won't actually show up in your cart. We'll just put them in. So for every $25 you spend, you get one. So here is one with a Cobra sitting in it to kind of give you scale. So these are 3-level dealies. There we go. Get way up close.
Nice.
Get a nice
Very nice.
close. It's got lots of little details inside of it. There's a little overdeal. There's ladders. There's all kinds of things. And maybe we'll add some stuff to it down the road. And like I said, maybe it's even got a little bit of a floor pattern. It's got safety stripes so you can go in and paint. All kinds of stuff you can put on there.
Nice.
Or if you just want to paint it up and set it up on your shelf and put your guy in there. And just so that you can see bigger, so here's a pillager. He's about as wide as they get. So as you see, even the big boys fit in there.
Yep. Nice.
So anyway, so that's
Looks
what
like
we
the
got.
beginning of a diorama.
That's exactly. This would make it great for a diorama for next year for the painting competition. You could paint them all up. But they have these little squares in the middle, so you can pop it out and put whatever letter you want in there. So, and then like I said, you can leave them loose if you want to. If you want to do a little role playing, you can put your CAV on there and spin the dish so that it'll spin around. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's my little spiel. But I want to thank James for being here tonight, talking to us about the tournament, about the convention, give you a little unbiased view, maybe. I don't know how unbiased you are. Who knows?
Maybe not.
But I appreciate you being here. I hope you come back more. We miss you.
Yeah.
I get tired of talking to myself. So,
Sure.
Miss Cab Boss has been getting on me to start having guests and stuff. So who knows? Maybe we will down the road. All right. Anything from the peanut gallery before we call it a night? Any questions? Any that you would like me or James to answer about the convention or the tournament, or so you can start planning for next year? I am gonna start running a games day kind of thing down at ReaperCon or Reapers new store that they have, which is huge. It's going to be the third weekend of each month. My plan is to start in October. Saturday will be a game day, whereas Sunday will be a kind of a hobby day, shorter day. We'll paint, things like that. I am trying to put together kind of a grow league format kind of thing. So if anybody has any ideas or things that they've seen from other ones that they think will work good for CAB, please let me know. Either email me or better yet, get on the forums, talk on the forums.
Absolutely.
So anyway, well, they seem to be pretty quiet. We must have put them all asleep, James.
Dinner time.
It's dinner time. They're like, oh man, I got to get out of here. So we'll call it a night. Thank you very much for showing up. As always, we appreciate you guys and your support. Hopefully it will keep growing. We have had a crap load of new people show up in the last month.
Yes.
On the forums, on Facebook. I mean, literally, I'm getting a notification almost daily for 3 or 4 people, welcome, how you welcome them to the deal or whatever. So lots of people are showing up, lots of new names. All right, so good night, everybody. Like I said, pay attention tomorrow. I think that's probably going to be when the new stuff is going up because I am fading fast. So again, thanks for everybody being here. We love you guys. Take care.
Take care.
Da-dun-da, da-dun-da.